Whew. I don't know what's going on with this weather out there, but it is freezing. I thought this was Florida. Anyways, I hope everyone's having a wonderful Monday morning. As always, this is Monday Morning with Mo, right here live on Facebook, YouTube, maybe some other places. I don't really know. Every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And so, what we do, if you haven't joined us before, is every Monday morning at 8 a.m. we answer your legal questions. All you got to do is email us, ask@dewitlaw.com, or send us an email. Leave us a voicemail at 407 536 6737. I think it's scrolling down here somewhere. So you can leave that voicemail anytime. We'll play it on the show next Monday morning. And if you want me to get back to you, just leave your phone number and I'll give you a call back as well. So, anyways, let's jump right into it this morning. I'm going to try to make it through the show without sneezing. I don't know if anyone else has allergies out there, but my allergies have been going crazy with these weather changes. I'm on about 19 Zyrtec at this point. So, anyways, let's jump right into it. Only got a couple questions here this morning. So, first up is we have Zach. Zach says, "Good morning, Mo." Good morning, Zach. Good to see you. Um, I live in Seminole County, and last year I realized that I was being overcharged on my property taxes. I've called and fixed the issue, but I was informed that I could only be reimbursed for the past 3 years. Is this true? Um, well, Zach, so I had to do a little digging on this one. Frankly, I've never had to deal with this situation before. But unfortunately, there is a Florida statute that does limit you being able to go back 3 years. That's the maximum you can go back to get reimbursed. Excuse me. Funny thing is, if you had underpaid, they can come back after you for as many years as you underpaid. So that's the great little government there. So yeah, if you've overpaid them, they will only be owing you the last 3 years overpayments once you catch it. If you underpaid, they will come after you forever. So wish I had better news for you, Zach, but unfortunately, that's what you face. But I guess that's a good lesson for everybody else out there. Check your property taxes, make sure they're accurate. I think in Zach's case, part of the email that I didn't read here was that he had a porch or something that was included as part of his square footage that shouldn't have been, and that's what led to him being overcharged. So always good to just take a look at that tax bill, make sure everything's accurate on it, especially if you see a big jump, because if you overpay, you can only go back 3 years to get your money back. So, as always, thank you for the question, Zach. If you guys have any questions, shoot us an email, ask@dewitlaw.com. Gonna get a little water there. Or leave us a voicemail, 407 536 6737. Next up, we have Dave. Dave says, "I hired a contractor to install solar panels on my home. We paid the contractor in full, but now we're being sued by the subcontractor who says they did not get paid. What can we do?" All right, so this is going to be a tough situation. First of all, anytime you're dealing with a contractor, when you pay them in full, you want to get an affidavit from them at the time of the final payment that says that they paid all of the subcontractors in full. You want to make sure they sign that. And that will help alleviate if you ever find yourself in the situation that Dave's in. Because basically, Dave paid out the full contract price to the contractor. Sounds like the contractor just stiffed the subcontractor, essentially. So, in this case, I've talked to Dave a little more. Unfortunately, he did not get that affidavit. So what he's essentially going to have to do is settle with the subcontractor and pay out more money, and then go back after the contractor for reimbursement, since the contractor did not pay that sub. Now, the little part that can be scary here is if they start trying to get attorney's fees from you. So I typically try to recommend settling these things pretty quickly, because the attorney's fees, the subcontractor's attorney who's suing you or would potentially be suing you, he can rack up attorney's fees pretty quickly, and you could possibly be responsible for those. So you want to make sure that you get this resolved pretty quickly. Contact them. I would go ahead and contact the original contractor as well, see if they even give you a response, if you can track them down, if they're still in business, figure out what the deal is with them. But essentially, you're probably better off cutting a check to the sub and then going ahead and suing the contractor to try to get your money back that way. So, tough situation there, Dave. I know that's no fun. Basically, you just got the raw end of the deal on that one. But in the future, make sure that you have the contractor sign that affidavit when you get the final payment. That will cover you in case this situation ever happens again. So like I said, we only had a couple questions this week, so a little bit shorter of a show than normal, but I did want to tell a story about a call I got the other day. And so I got a call, I think it was over the weekend, or maybe it was at night. It all blends together at this point. Almost sneezed. Fought that one off. A very nice couple who had been in a really bad car accident a couple months ago. Broken bones, herniated discs. I mean, they were banged up pretty good. And they had hired one of the big billboard attorneys, and basically the big billboard attorneys told them, hey, I mean, we looked at this. The people who hit you don't have insurance. You don't have uninsured motorist coverage. There's really nothing I can do for you. And so they called me, and they basically said, that's not acceptable. There's got to be something we can do. And I explained the whole process to them and said, look, we can sue the people, but at the end of the day, their current attorney already ran an asset search. They knew that all they would get was a judgment. The judgment would be discharged in bankruptcy at some point or would be uncollectible. And there was really no point in suing them or going after them because there was nothing to go after. And he goes, well, I had full coverage on my car. I had complete full coverage. How can this be that, I'm severely injured. I can't work. I've been out of work for a month, or maybe it's 2 months at that point. How can this be that there's no compensation to cover my lost wages, cover my injuries? And so I had to explain to him, full coverage covers your vehicle. So, what you're talking about with full coverage is collision and comprehensive for your actual vehicle. They're not referencing any of the coverages that would cover you, injuries to you. And so if you listen to the show before, if you watch any of my videos, I talk about uninsured motorist coverage a lot. And it's especially important here in the state of Florida because if someone hits you and hurts you, they don't have to have insurance to cover that. So just to clarify, in Florida, you can legally drive, absolutely legally drive on the roads without any bodily injury coverage. So I always give Georgia as an example. Georgia has a minimum coverage of $25,000 in bodily injury coverage. Here in Florida, we don't have that. You can have $0 in bodily injury coverage. All you have to have is $10,000 in property damage coverage. So if someone hits you and hurts you, they don't have to have any coverage to cover that. That's where the uninsured motorist coverage comes in and becomes so important because it essentially steps into the shoes of the at-fault driver. So essentially, your insurance company now is insuring you. I mean, they were all insuring you, but they're now stepping into those shoes, and you can go after that policy to help cover, the injuries you sustained, lost wages, deductibles, out-of-pocket expenses. Sometimes you may need in-home care, all that kind of stuff. You can go after that policy to cover you. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, that's going to raise my rates. No, it's not. If you make a claim against your uninsured motorist coverage, as long as you don't do more than, I think it's 3 within 3 years or 3 within 5 years, it will not raise your rates. Legally in Florida, they're not allowed to raise your rates if you make a claim against your uninsured motorist policy. So that's why it's so important to have in Florida, because there's a lot of drivers out there who had just the bare minimum in coverage. They hit you, like in this couple's case, broken bones, herniated discs, out of work for at least a month, I'm pretty sure he said. Excuse me. And there was absolutely nothing they can do about it. There's no way for them to recover. I'm sure it's going to be a very tough time for them financially because there was no coverage there. So, look into uninsured motorist coverage. Typically, it's not very expensive. If you get it on a motorcycle, it becomes a little more expensive. I still recommend it for a motorcycle. But typically, it's not very expensive to add to your policy, and it can make the world of difference if you're in an accident. I had a case the other day where they were able to get $300,000 in coverage, which still wasn't enough, frankly, for the injuries they sustained. But again, the person who was at fault in that accident had no insurance. Fortunately, they did have some uninsured motorist coverage there. So very, very important. I'll leave you with that. So if you do anything this Monday, maybe check that out. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments. Shoot me an email. Leave me a voicemail. Send smoke signals. Whatever you want to do, I will try to get back to you and answer your questions. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Stay warm out there because it is freezing. And I'll see you next Monday right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live for another episode of Monday Morning with Mo. Have a great Monday, everybody. Take care.